What's up, Pirates? Wraith and Jim here with Awaken TCG, and today we have a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be showing you guys a OP04 tier list that we're going to make as we go, and you guys can, follow along with us and give us your comments on each leader. Maybe not each leader, it's a lot of leaders now, but comment down what you guys think for the process as we're doing it. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, and to get right into it, just before we start, we're making this tier list after the results for the Knoxville Regional have been posted. So we kind of wanted to wait till that happened to see what topped, just so we can get a better and more accurate tier list for you guys. But at the end of the day, it is kind of coming down just to our opinions. But these are opinions that are backed by toppings and our own experiences and a lot of time in this game. So
A lot
without
of time.
further ado, yeah, let's get right into it. Who do you want to start with out of the ones we have here?
Um, let's go with my main for the set of OP04, Don Quixote do Flamingo.
Gerpel
Yes,
on it.
Gerpel Dofi. Personally, I wouldn't put him in tier one. He is a very good, probably the best leader for film currently. I would put him in pretty good. Definitely
I could
has some
agree with
solid
that.
matchups and can take games off of the tier one decks. I think he's super solid and definitely deserving in the pretty good tier.
I would be inclined to agree. No debate there. Next up, let's go Crocodile because I think he's actually really interesting this meta. Um, Definitely a deck that I think is pretty good against red. I think it's. What do you think? I think its worst matchup was yellow, in my opinion. If I had to pick a
Yeah,
color.
yeah, yellow. Yellow, it struggles against yellow for sure, 100%.
Katakuri is going to be super popular this time around, but obviously red, as we saw by the regional, is still dominating.
Mm-hmm.
But this deck is honestly a great deck, and it's not like it can't win into yellow, so I think it belongs in pretty good.
Yep, it's solid right there. It's a good spot for it.
Yep, right under top tier. Unfortunately, not all the way there yet.
And we do want to emphasize that there is no order in the specific tiers, no order. So like the decks on the leftmost sections are not better than the rightmost. We're just going random leaders at a time. Just want to make sure that's clear. All right, and for the next one, let's go ahead and throw in Zoro. Zoro's placing here on this tier list should be a no-brainer. Yeah, definitely the best. He was the one Zoro in top 32 of Knoxville and ended up winning the entire thing. Although he did have a good matchup spread, he got 2 Crocs and then I think a bye because there was 2 in top 8 that DQ'd, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But then he versed Whitebeard in the finals and ended up taking that. So
Yeah, surprisingly the only Zoro in the top 32, but I think that's just because everybody's kind of trying out the new stuff. And also, I think a lot of people are on Whitebeard right now, but just because Rebecca is such a bad matchup.
yeah.
So I think people are kind of off Zoro, but as you saw, even in the top 32, the one Zoro was the one that won. So, anyways, next up, let's go to a bad deck. Purple Kaido.
Oh,
Purple
Purple Kaido.
still bad,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. This set, and no amazing leaders to really support it. But out of the purple decks, I think this is the best, and I don't. If you get your curve with Onigashima and stuff like that, I think it could still randomly win a game. So I would put it in for fun.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Let's go ahead and grab Rebecca. Rebecca, I'm just grabbing all the good ones. Rebecca is deserving of the best tier. Uh, so day one of Knoxville, there was a 9 round Swiss. The Rebecca was the actual leader that went undefeated and technically got first place if there was no top cut. But yeah, I mean that just shows you like the potential in that deck, right? First tournament ever of OP04 and it gets 9-0 in Swiss. That I mean that's a hard feat in itself. Uh, Shows the deck that it has a lot of potential.
If that was a normal tournament, that deck's top one. Not to mention, out of the top 32, there were three Rebeccas,
Mm-hmm.
which is really, really good for a. I don't think it's super underplayed, but I don't think a lot of people play the deck, and the
Yeah.
deck is also really hard. So
Uh-huh.
that just goes to show that's the first tournament. These players are only going to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Um, yep. Next up, let's go with Green Kid. And Green Kid will always be good. It's just too good of a generic leader effect, especially with the film cards. I think this deck is competitive, but I think it's not near the top, but I also don't think it's near the bottom. So I would say it's in the it's okay tier. What do you think, Rick?
Personally, yeah, I mean, it's between the very end of pretty good or it's okay is a fine spot to put it in. Green didn't really get much support. Obviously, you can, slot in some 10 drop Doflamingos to just make the deck, really
That is
like,
true.
have like this edge to it. But for the most part, if you're going to play film, which is the kid's, best archetype, if you're going to play film, just go ahead and play Doflamingo. It's just so much better with him.
Yep, I just actually say if it is, it's either at the bottom of pretty good or the top of it's okay.
Yeah,
So
so that's perfect. Next up, let's go ahead and do let's do Isho. Isho,
show.
I've tried to test it for a while. Haven't really found something that works. Hopefully, someone can, and I feel like if someone can make it work with the right deck list, obviously, building this deck is the hardest part because Black Green, has two different kind of things going for it. One minuses cost, one KO's rested, so you kind of have to like I don't know, your opponent can just play they can play around it super easily, and it's just really hard to keep hand advantage, keep board control, and so I would put it in the for fun tier as of right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I could agree with that. I don't think anybody's actually found this list out at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a list out there that's better, but I don't think it would ever be in the upper echelon. Anyways, next up, let's go over one of the new decks. It's going to be Purple Yellow Crocodile. So I actually thought this deck was really, really bad at first, but upon further, like I watched Eggman's tournament, a guy was doing decent with it in there. I've seen decent lists online, so I almost want to put this in it's okay. I don't know. Are you going to allow me to do that, or are we putting
Yeah, no,
in
I
for
wouldn't
fun?
blame you if you do that. I mean, the yellow cards that it can use are insane, and not only being able to get a life back with Yamato, you have the 8 cost Croc where you can get life back again. So every turn, if you're in a good spot, you can gain life over and over, and it's like a an L Junior. It's really good. You can cycle your hand pretty well. Yeah, no, this deck is fine and it's okay. I agree.
Hmm. Almost similar to Queen, with just playing big bodies and healing towards the end of the latter half of the game. Although it has better defense, instead of blockers, you can have more counter events.
Yeah. All right, so next up, let's do Monkey D. Luffy, the black one. No, the black one. No, 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 no. Yes, yes. So this is interesting. There was actually one of these in top 32 for Knoxville, which is
Hmm.
insane, right? This is, if you think of a black leader making top 32, this is probably not the one you're thinking of. The effect is okay. So I'm not sure how that list was able to do that, but it did, which is very impressive. I would put this in definitely in it's okay. Um,
I think I could agree with that. I played this deck towards the latter half of OP03. Not to mention that this deck also managed to get, I think it was it first or second at that European regional
um,
towards the end.
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, no, I remember.
It got a fantastic
Yeah.
placing, but I think the reason this deck is good, it's kind of like Lucci. Black is pretty decent into Whitebeard already, but
Mhm.
this deck basically, when you just KO one thing, you can attach one to leader, and you always get that free 6K swing. He's kind of one of the only leaders that can play on curve a lot of the time and swing at Whitebeard.
Mhm.
So I think that's why he kind of inflates sometimes. If you get like a good Whitebeard matchup
True.
up the top cut, I
Mhm.
think that might be why this deck can actually pull these wins off. But anyways, let's go to kind of a random deck. Let's go Ivankov. This deck is just so linear and so random. You're top decking all game. Blue did get some new tools, but I don't think anybody's trying them in Ivankov. They're trying them in other leaders that
Yeah.
actually do
Yeah.
something. So blue is so good now. I almost want to put it in for fun, but honestly, you're better off just playing the other blue leaders. I think I want to put this in. Can't even have fun.
Yeah. At this point, definitely can't even have fun is the right spot.
Okay.
All right. So next up, we have let's do Shanks. Purple Shanks. This deck is garbage.
Yeah. I
No
don't even
way
know
to
if we have
put
to
it.
talk about this one.
Yeah, it's really bad. You can play it and try to make a deck out of it, but at the end of the day, this tier list is more catered towards the competitive side of things, and you're never winning a tournament with this, and yeah, there's no point in trying.
And let's grab our first mono yellow deck. It's going to be Yamato. Kind of an interesting yellow leader. Main issue is you can't play 10 cost mom at the end of the day. But it does have a really strong leader skill. Not doubting that at all. The new 9 cost Yamato is fantastic in this deck, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You can play it and also attach it onto leader. So I think this deck is good. I think yellow's good. I either want to put it in it's okay or pretty good.
Yeah, I would think it's okay. Is
Yeah.
is the right spot for it.
All right. Let's shove it right next to Luffy.
All right. And then let's go ahead. Let's do another super bad deck. Let's grab Iceberg. Let's go ahead and just throw him where he belongs since it can't even have fun. And the tier is just called, by the way, can't even have fun. Obviously, you can make an iceberg deck and have fun with it, but this is what we're calling the tier. So don't get offended.
Yeah, if you're going to locals and you're seeing all Zoro, you're not having fun, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Anyways, next up, let's go another one of the new decks. We have the deck I'm maining this set, Blue Yellow Queen. Kind of a grindy deck, a little bit difficult, definitely a weird playstyle. One of the first playstyles where you can actually really stall out games, but I think this deck has a great place in the meta. I don't think it's top tier, so I wouldn't put it in the best, but it's 100% pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
is
Yep.
what I think.
Yep. I
Yep.
could agree there. Definitely after playing it against it for a while now, yeah, I could definitely it could do some damage. So talking about yellow decks, let's go ahead and grab Katakuri. He was our OP03, favorite. He's going in the best. Finally the deck gets a good amount of variety, and so it has that extra layer of depth to deck building, and you can make decks with up to 25 triggers now, and so your opponent just has the best time playing against a Katakuri when they're getting 3-4 triggers off of life, and now you're playing the deck and not expecting these things, and then now you have to deal with them. My personal top three, I would put this deck at top three and deserving of the best.
And next up, let's go with Black Sakazuki starter deck leader. This guy is just way too expensive. We've been saying it for a bunch of sets now.
Yeah.
Just tap 3 and trash a card to KO a 0, which is already situational, is absolutely ridiculous. Unfortunately, I think you're better off playing any other black deck, but I think black is still decent. I almost want to put it in for fun, but other black decks are better, so I kind of just want to put in a can't even have fun. What are your thoughts?
Personally, yeah, can't even have fun. I feel like you're just, even if you're trying to go and play it at a local, I think you're doing a disservice to the color. You can just play so many better leaders.
100%.
Let's do another can't even have fun. Let's go Arlong. Arlong, surprisingly, I would want to put it in for fun, but after actually playing the deck for a small stint of time in OP03, the deck just doesn't work. You run out of cards way too quick. Your board is never gonna have like these big bodies. They're always 3/5s, 4-drop 5,000s. Your occasional 6,000, 7,000 with Krieg, but at the end of the day, you just run out of cards way too quick, and the deck will never keep up. So unless it has some crazy support, yeah, this deck is just can't even have fun.
100%. The new Wano with green and yellow is kind of interesting with Yamato and stuff, but I think you're just kind of trolling at that point, but
Yeah,
it can definitely win games. Any of these decks can in certain scenarios,
yeah,
but
of course.
anyways, next up, let's just go over Red Luffy. Red is red. I think it's always going to be good. The other red leaders are probably better, like Zoro and Whitebeard, but the red cards are the best cards in the game, still, unfortunately. So even though this leader is pretty basic and not amazing, I'd still put him in pretty good.
Yeah, I can agree. I can agree. Let's go to another leader here. Let's go ahead and grab Vivi. Vivi, I'm not a believer of Vivi. I know people have been actually trying this deck out a good amount. I would personally put it in the for fun tier. Maybe there's a deck list out there that would bump it up to like the bottom of its okay tier. Uh, but for the most part, I think blue red is kind of like a weird combo. Great removal, and then the best cards, as red. But the leader not being able to attack, and then her only effect really being draw, because two is very expensive to use the effect on a character that you just played to give it rush. So I'm gonna put it in for fun.
Yeah, I could agree with that. There's some interesting lists that like can get crazy hand advantage and actually really good like bodies on board, but unfortunately, it's just too expensive. You at least have to play at 3 costs if you want to even benefit from your rush, and that's already 5 Dawn, half your entire turn.
Yeah, it's
So nothing amazing.
yeah.
Way too expensive. Anyway, let's go over one of the most interesting decks that I'm 100% trying this set. It's going to be Blue Purple Kaido. Blue Purple Kaido got the main support being Who's Who, which is going to be a Animal Kingdom Pirate Searcher that can search out Onigashima. And that
Finally.
basically, yeah, finally, that opened up the floodgates for this deck. Along with the new 10 cost Kaido, there's now 2 big bombs you can basically ramp up to when you should be at like 6 or 7 Dawn. Now you're at 10, and this deck just goes turbo sometimes if you get the right curve. Unfortunately, it still has a really bad matchup against rush decks like Zoro. So for that reason, I still think it's in this. It's okay tier.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next up, let's go ahead and grab Whitebeard. Definitely a deck I'm currently in the process of making. I have some cards coming in on the way here to finish off the deck, but Whitebeard, it's as consistent as ever. 12 decks, 12, if I'm not mistaken, 12 out of the 32 in the top 32 of the Knoxville Regional were new gates. So that, obviously a lot of people are playing it. So sometimes the numbers can be a little skewed just because there's more top players playing it. So obviously more are going to be in the top 32, but it's still, it's proving its consistency, and it's definitely in the top echelon of leaders.
Still number one, no questions there. Next up, let's go over the bad red and green leader, Monkey D. Luffy from set one. Another leader that the effect is just way too expensive. 4 Dawn to restand, I think it's only a 5 cost or less unit, Straw Hat type, is
Yeah, 5 cost.
very, very weak. 4 Dawn is way too much. But red, it still does have red, and I think there are some interesting lists out there. It's just nobody wants to play this deck and really experiment with it.
Yeah,
So for that reason, I think it's always going to be a for fun deck.
because like why play that when you can play Law? So let's go ahead and put Law on the hot seat. Yeah, you could put him right in the best. I'm not gonna say too much. Most consistent. Uh, Not the most consistent deck, but it does have consistent placings. I feel like this deck is just insane. The value you get off the leader is crazy, and then most decks are not even running any OP04 cards. Some are not even running any OP02 cards in the actual deck list, and they're still getting top 32, getting top 8s, top 4s. Yeah, an amazing deck, definitely in the
Yeah.
best.
Leader effect is just way too strong at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, let's go over Nami. Nami, very interesting this set. We here at Awaken TCG actually predicted that if Katakuri was going to be topping tournaments and Rebecca and all these slower decks, that Nami would kind of crawl up to the upper echelon. We definitely didn't see that in the Knoxville Regional. We have yet to see it, but I still believe in Nami. And I think with Red Rock and stuff like that, it got a lot of new tools, and I think it still belongs in the pretty good tier.
Yeah, I'd agree. Let's go ahead and grab Kinemon. We can throw him in for fun. For
Wah,
fun. Yeah.
wah.
No, I mean, no new cards for him. You get really great early game advantage, but after that's kind of said and done, you don't really have too much going for you, and so just throw him in the for fun and get the pain over with.
Another deck that's basically the same deck.
Yeah.
Let's just put Odin right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Odin, let's go over Garp. Black and red is never going to work together, unfortunately. The leader tries its best with the Dawn attachment and all the Dawn attachment characters in red, but unfortunately, being a 4 life leader and not having an insane leader effect, that is just going to cost you. Red and black are actually both good colors, but they just don't work. And for that reason, I think it's in for fun. I don't think it's necessarily can have fun, but
Yeah, the two
definitely
colors
not great.
clash, so
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for the deck to work. Let's go
Hmm.
ahead and grab. Let's do Doflamingo. Best blue deck in OP03. Not anymore. OP04 is released, and this I would put it in. It's okay. Definitely still has some strong, very strong matchups and can take games. But for the most part, if you're gonna play a blue deck, you want to be playing Croc. I think Croc is the uh, sole best mono blue leader in the set currently, and it will probably stay like that.
Yeah, Blue Doflamingo is locked into an archetype. You need to run 7 Warlords, 4 or less, right? So this is like more than half your deck that's going to have to consist of these things. And Blue has so many great cards now with Red Rock and 3,000 Worlds and the new events and all these things. You can't really run those and the Warlords. It just ends up like being a hodgepodge of two things. That's why Crocodile is great. With the generic leader ability, you can run all the good blue cards and do what you need to do. So I think that's the main issue with Doflamingo.
Yeah,
But
100%.
anyway, next up, let's go over Ace. We all know he got hit by the restrictions the worst out of anybody. He needs those cards to actually work, and unfortunately, he does not work as well as he should. But I still think he's good. It's a red deck. His Flame Emperor event is fantastic. Uh, Still bad against black and cards that can't be KO'd by effects, but I don't think this leader is bad. Generically good leader effect. Good cards to go along with it. It's in red. I think it belongs in. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a fine placement for it. Next up, let's do King. Purple King. Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about this. It's just it's not a good leader, bad effect, and that's
Yeah.
all I have to say.
Staying at 10 Dawn is like what every single color does except purple. So I don't know why we put that on a red leader, but that's fine. Next up, we'll have one of the best black leaders, Rob Lucci. Unfortunately, nobody playing this leader anymore. I guess people just got bored of him or trying the new Black Luffy stuff. But honestly, I think he's pretty comparable to Black Luffy, and I think he's still a great leader. I would maybe even put him in pretty good if I really wanted to.
Yeah, that would be fair to say, 100%.
Would you say put him in there?
Um,
Pretty
no,
good or it's okay?
let's
No?
let's leave him
Okay.
in. It's okay. Maybe in the future, if we see more tournaments and we start seeing a couple of Lucci placements, we could solidify that decision. But he's fine and it's okay. And next up, we have. Let's go ahead and do Croc, blue purple Croc. If this was a buddy battle tier list, we're putting him at the top. Unfortunately, it's not. So we're gonna go ahead and throw him in. Uh, what would you say? For fun?
I've seen people run this deck. There's a lot of believers in this deck with the new Who's Who and new 8 drop Croc. This deck got a lot of tools this set. I think I want to put it in It's Okay.
Hmm. All right. We'll throw him in. It's okay for now, and then
I'm a
at the
believer.
end of OP04, we can recollect, see this list, and then make the final list, and kind of just talk about it. So that's fine. It's okay. Is fine.
Next up, let's go over one of the other leaders that kind of got left in the dust. No support this set really, unless you're counting like 10 drop Doflamingo because that works in every green deck. But Captain Kuro is kind of just not amazing anymore. He was okay last set just because he had a great matchup into Zoro, but still not a great matchup into Whitebeard, from what I understand.
Yeah. No, it's
And
horrible.
that's going to be a really bad thing. But I don't think he's unplayable. I think I would put him in for fun.
Yeah, I would put him right there.
Kind of similar to the Kinemon and Odin and Green. Green is just like decent.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I would put him right there as well for sure. Let's go ahead and get Magellan up. Magellan, I'm a big believer in Magellan. I'll probably end up making this deck in November. Uh, I have played it on the sim quite a bit. Uh, I wouldn't put it in pretty good. I'd throw it in it's okay. It's a deck where it has a good matchup against the best deck in the game, Whitebeard, and so just for that reason, if you get a good matchup spread in a tournament and you verse a lot of Whitebeards and you're seeing your cards, you could have an easy time in tournament. Yeah, I'll throw him in. It's okay.
Yeah, I could agree there. I almost want to throw him in pretty good just because he has such a great matchup into Whitebeard. Next set, he's going to be even better, I think. But for now, purple, yeah, purple's pretty lackluster. So I think he's good and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, let's go over the next best mono yellow deck. It's going to be Big Mom, a very, very good effect. This effect is fantastic. The only problem is that yellow is a deck that wants to play on curve. You're on 6, you want to play your 6-drop vanilla. You're on 8, you want to play Katakuri. You're on 10, you want to play 10 cost Big Mom.
Mm-hmm.
That does not leave you any room to attach 2 to leader and swing and use that effect. So I think that's why that kind of holds this deck back. If yellow was a bit different, and you didn't love playing on curve like that, I think this leader might even be better than Katakuri in some
Yeah,
instances.
yeah.
But unfortunately, yellow is a color that likes to play on curve, and it's still a great color. And this is a great leader. I think it belongs in pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree there. I think it's definitely pretty good. Katakuri in the top, and then Lin mono yellow in pretty good, and then Yamato the other mono yellow lead in it's okay. I think that's a fair assessment of the three yellow leaders. And then let's go ahead and grab Zephyr. Throw him into for fun. I think he's purple. Definitely had some success in OP02, but now it's not as good. I know there's some deck lists you can probably find where you can do pretty decent, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna throw it in for fun. What do you think?
So the thing about Zephyr is he's good against yellow. He's great at taking out those big bodies. It's actually surprising. Um, so for that fact, I think it depends on how popular Katakuri is going to be. So if Katakuri is like Whitebeard levels of popular, I think this deck could go up. But for now, like especially in the Knoxville regionals, I think we only was it 3 Katakuris in top 32.
Yeah, three.
Yeah, nothing crazy. So for now, I think this deck is going to chill in for fun.
Yeah.
Next up, let's go over Black Smoker. Actually, a good leader. I think people kind of just like wanted to try the new stuff when Rob Lucci came out and kind of left this guy behind.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think he's pretty good. He has a pretty generically good leader effect for Black, kind of a 7K every turn Katakuri type thing sometimes. But I think I just want to put him in It's Okay with the other black decks. I think all the mono black leaders are pretty much similar in that aspect. They're just all pretty decent effects, and you basically run the same cards, and they're all pretty decent.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I like that placement for him. Let's go ahead and go to the last two that we have here. Let's do Sanji. I'm gonna throw him in. Can't even have fun. I feel like this deck is just it's okay at best, but the leader effect is not the greatest. I mean, sitting at 4 life, you play a vanilla and you get 2 Dawn active that turn, which is nothing crazy in my opinion. Like obviously green purple Dofi at the end of your turn you get the Dawn, so you can't use it that active turn, but you can't really do much with two active Dawn at the end of your turn anyway. So
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with this leader. It's locked into playing vanilla cards, and that's definitely good sometimes. But I think green and blue are both a little bit of supporty colors, and putting them together doesn't do a lot.
yeah,
And last but not least, it's going to be black and yellow Big Mom. This deck was one that people kind of thought was going to be interesting last set. Didn't really show up too much. I don't know if I ever saw it in a big tournament. Um, I just think that's because on paper it seems good, but another leader effect that's just way too costly.
yeah.
You have to attach to, tap to, trash a card. That sure you gain a life, but that is an insane cost for that leader effect. And I think for that reason I want to put in for fun.
Yeah, for fun is good. All right, and so for this last part, we're gonna go ahead and reorder the best tier on our tier list and kind of give you guys some insight on the best 5 decks in our opinion. Obviously, you see the 5 there. We're just gonna go ahead and rearrange them in an order we believe they are actually in, and going from most consistent, strongest, and um, there's a lot of factors that go into how we're gonna rate them. But let's go ahead and throw Zoro up first. Personally, what do you think? I think Zoro would be
Uh,
the fifth
he,
best in my opinion right now.
I'd have to see how we order this, but yeah, he's definitely not going to be top one for now. Let's see where he ends up, but can we just say it? Whitebeard's still the best deck.
Yeah, that one's the easiest one. That's probably gonna be our fastest. Let's put him at first for today. Whitebeard at first, 100%.
Number two, honestly, I want to say it's Law. I think Law is just way too good and consistent. If and with Yellow being this good, Law has to be this good as well because of the fantastic matchup it has in the Yellow.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest factors is going to be to see how many Rebecca's we actually have, in the near future for these next upcoming tournaments, online and offline. Because if Rebecca does grow in popularity, obviously the Law matchup versus Rebecca isn't unwinnable for Law, but it is a little harder than Katakuri versus Rebecca. Uh, Obviously, we know Law beats Katakuri, but if we're starting to see more Rebeccas and more Rebeccas, then I think the Law would have to go into third place in my opinion. I think second is fair for now, especially with Red being so dominant. Um, I would like to put Katakuri in third, keep him there, just for the fact that he has not a lot of bad matchups, and he is pretty insane this set, especially with all the amount of triggers that you can get, and it swings the game just so quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yellow got way too many good tools, and Katakuri's effect is just way too generically good not to make use of them. And for the last two, God, I feel like these two can go either way. Rebecca obviously beats Zoro in the matchup, but as far as like if you're playing through a whole tournament, I don't know which one would actually be more consistent because I know Rebecca has a lot of polarizing matchups that just feel unwinnable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So and Zoro did win. He was the only one in top 32, and Rebecca did win through Swiss. So just because it has such a good matchup into Law and Zoro, I think I want to put Rebecca at fourth.
Yeah, let's put Rebecca at 4 and Zoro at 5 for now. So this is our best tier. We have Whitebeard at 1, Law at 2, Katakuri at 3, Rebecca at 4, and Zoro at 5. I feel like Rebecca being at 4, she is a new leader, so we don't have a lot of data to go off of here in our meta currently. But as we get more tournaments down and we start seeing more placings, Rebecca could crack into that top 3, in my opinion. But for now, I think this is solid. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree on the top five here in the ordering. I think that's fine. I think these guys are pretty good. Like we could order them, but honestly, I think they're all around the same power level. These in pretty good. I think can take regionals. They're not going to take them consistently. You're definitely going to be seeing these top five faces, but I think these guys in pretty good can take some randomly, and I think the ones in It's Okay are definitely going to win locals sort of decently. But if they win a regional, it's probably going to be like a once per set type of thing.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
as for
yeah.
fun, these guys are never ever winning a regional, and they can't even have fun. I don't even know if they can win a local.
Yeah, no, those can't even have fun decks are honestly um, pretty. I mean, they're just fundamentally not sound at the end of the day. So it's really hard to just win because there's so much going against those decks.
Yeah, I we actually made this tier way bigger because we thought there was going to be a lot more terrible decks. And if you looked at any older tier lists, like back in OP01, OP02, there actually were a lot more decks that just were completely terrible at the bottom.
Mhm.
But these decks are getting better. I think every color, the power level, of every color has been rising throughout the sets.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show like they're actually taking care of this game and really bringing in some good cards. Obviously, Red's a little overpowered, but I feel like they're doing a great job so far, and hopefully they continue to do that. All right, so thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this video. I know it's a bit of a longer one, but hopefully you guys enjoyed our insight on kind of every leader and where we place them. Obviously, we have not much data. It was just one tournament so far that we're basing this off of, and obviously some of OP04 in Asia meta. But for the most part, this is kind of what we believe currently from our testing, data that we have, and just from what we've seen so far. But thank you guys so much. Make sure to like this video, comment down below what your thoughts are, subscribe to our channel. We're almost at 1,000, so stay tuned for that giveaway where we're amassing a lot of prizes, for our giveaway, including an OP04 sealed box, booster box at that. Anyways, make sure to subscribe to our channel. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.